What's going on, everybody? Happy Thursday morning. Hope everybody out there is having a good day. Joined by JT, joined by DC. My first MLB show of the year, and why is that? Coors Field's on the slate, so you got to bring in title when Coors Field's on the slate. JT, throw it to you first, man. What's going on?
Yeah, it was going to be a much more interesting slate, but rain along the East Coast has knocked this down to just 4 games. And you mentioned it, right? The marquee here, the first game in Coors, what a lot of us have been waiting for with some of these new rules. We've seen that the pitchers sometimes they run out of gas a little bit earlier here with the pitch clock. I was watching Alek Manoah, nice bounce back last night, but man, he looked like he was going to stroke out on the mound, having to get ready and throw, 94, 95 every 15 seconds. So Washington, good against lefties, both bullpens terrible. So that's clearly the marquee here. We'll see if we could find some low-owned minis to pair with them.
Yeah, as JT says, supposed to have 6 games a day, down to 4 games. Coors Field is on the slate. Not going to be too long of a show. We'll probably only be in here for 30 minutes. It looks like very concentrated today. Coors Field's getting ownership. Pitching looks pretty concentrated. DC, what's going on? How's your Thursday? Initial thoughts on the slate?
Yeah, things are good. I'm looking at the schedule, and what do we have? 6 total baseball games today. It's been a whirlwind start to the season, certainly here. 1 weekend, but I'm going to have to head down to Coors Field to watch this Josiah Gray versus Kyle Freeland opening day battle. Going to be a cool 50 degrees here, but sunny. I can handle a little cold. And I bet the tickets will be discounted. People afraid to go out in a little frigid weather. So, yeah, maybe I'll watch some Masters, head to Coors Field, have a day. Happy to, of course, talk baseball with you guys for these 30 minutes or so, breaking down the games. I think it's a pretty straightforward slate for the most part. But, yeah, been a fun start to baseball season. And, yeah, let's get to it.
Yeah, that sounds like a fun day, DC. You can always go. I mean, what you got 4 hours, 3 hours. Looking at the slate, you brought up 50 at Coors Field. I mean, it's 50 everywhere. 50 in Detroit, about 50 in Chicago, 50 in Kansas City. So
it's literally 50 degrees in every game, which is kind of
no real weather edge here today. So we're gonna go right here, talk about pitcher. I'm seeing Kevin Gausman and Chris Sale as 2 of the more popular pitchers. I think Lance Lynn right in that boat as well. If you're playing anyone not Lance Lynn, Kevin Gausman, Chris Sale, you are definitely going to be different. DC, I'll start with you, though. Break down pitching. I mean, we only have 4 games. We only got 8 pitchers, so break them all down and how you're approaching it today.
Yeah, I think we kind of know what to expect from Lance Lynn and Kevin Gausman. I mean, we've seen them be steady-ish pitchers for the last couple of years. I think both guys are certainly good plays. I mean, Tyler, you're the big Lance Lynn guy, so you'll have to give us your thoughts on him. I do think Gausman is rightfully the highest projected pitcher. The Royals' offense really hasn't done much. It's actually much worse hitting conditions there in Kansas City than we've seen over the first part of the season, where it was kind of unseasonably warm. I would take Gausman over Lynn. I do think both guys probably pitched pretty well here. And then I'm with you. I really think the only other guy that I'm considering is Chris Sale, who I think is kind of the wild card on this slate. Pretty much hasn't pitched in like 2020, 2021, 2022. He did obviously make a start for the Red Sox, I think their second game of the season. Mixed bag of results in that start. He did get 6 strikeouts in 3 innings, also gave up 3 home runs, I believe. But he gets the Tigers here in a good place to pitch. And like Sale's velocity and pitch movement looked like kind of vintage Chris Sale. I mean, he was throwing 95 on the fastball. I actually think there's a decent chance we get like the close to Cy Young version of Chris Sale for a few starts, right? I think he'll probably end up going down injured like relatively soon. But until that happens, I think he's got a chance to really give some big performances while he's healthy. I'm not sure where ownership ends up, but yeah, I think Sale could easily be the SP1 on this slate. So assuming it's reasonable, which it probably is, given the poor results at least on that first start, I do kind of like Chris Sale at that 7,500 price tag. I'll say this too, though. Like I said, just a true wild card. So I do think you can stack against him too, right? I think he's got the upside to be the SP1. I also wouldn't be surprised if he just kind of melts down. Speaking of the pitch clock, he does kind of seem like like a hot-headed dude who could potentially not react well to kind of being rushed through his pitches. That wouldn't surprise me either. So still a lot of question marks, but yeah, I think Gaussman the safest and maybe the highest upside. And then I do like Sale, Lynn as well. Like the other, 5 pitchers, hard for me to get to those guys, honestly.
Yeah, no, that's how I'm seeing ownership as well. Like maybe Alex Wood. I don't know. JT, can you talk me into anything? How would you rank Gausman, Lynn, Sale? Anything else you like at pitcher?
I definitely can't talk you into Alex Wood with a 20-mile-per-hour wind blowing out to left field in Chicago today. I went heavy on the White Sox yesterday. I got abused in chat before the game started. Our guy Gary, who we've been on the same page a lot, but no, he was, did not like.
Of course, you're on the same page. Braves fan. Who would have thought?
He did not like the White Sox call.
You had the White Sox stack and the DeMar DeRozan over 23.5 points.
I did not have DeRozan. The comments in
I had to bring that up. I love it.
The comments in there. My favorite one was one guy, just one sentence: "Never betting with my dick again." And I'm pretty sure he's lying, and he's going to do that again at some point, whether it's
whatever the next post is,
whether it's with Margot Madison or not. But anyway, back to my point about the Sox. I ran a bit unlucky because Tim Anderson, you mentioned hotheads in the pitch clock. Tim Anderson gets ejected because he tried to take time out. The umpire was like, nope, strike 3. But they were the second highest scoring team on that slate yesterday at 7 runs, just didn't get the home runs that we needed to get us over the top. I'm going right back to them today against Alex Wood. He's a pitcher that I enjoy stacking against. The challenge for me here is, right, DC, I mean, you got Gausman, you got Lynn. I'm basically in complete agreement with you on Sale. I'm seeing projected ownership of 50-some%. I think that's probably right, given the pitching options on this slate. I do think I'll play a couple of Tiger stacks against him just for leverage because, number one, we've seen this Red Sox bullpen be absolutely terrible. The weather in Detroit, not great, but there is a little bit of a wind blowing out. So I'll side with Sale here for the better part. And then it's just tough. I don't really have a lot of interest in Jordan Lyles against the Blue Jays, even though I don't see that game scoring a lot of runs. Could Lyles get you 10 or 12, and could that be enough? Maybe. I'm probably going to be off of Alex Wood. The White Sox last several years have been very, very good against left-handed pitchers. We know that these Giant starters are not going to have long leashes with Gabe Kapler. And then Spencer Turnbull, coming off of Tommy John surgery, did not look very good. I don't expect that he's going to be in there very long, even if he pitches decently. And I kind of think low-key the Red Sox offense is going to be a team that's going to put up some runs. They're going to give up a lot of runs, but so it's tough. It's tough to get to one of these other guys. I guess if I was going to try and take a shot, maybe it would be Lyles with like 5 or 10%, just because, like I said, in a game in a park that's probably going to play big, maybe he can get you to 10 or 12, even though the Blue Jays are going to be popular. And that's another reason to take a look at him is that if the Blue Jays come out and score 1 run or 2 runs and he gets into the 6th inning, then maybe he's got a shot to be on the winner, but probably over the field on the top 3.
Yeah, I like it. We're all in agreement. I mean, man, so Jordan Lyles, maybe JT said if you want to get a little different, get off the board, but really looks like Gausman, Lynn, Sale, and that's how you two rank it. And I do agree. The price difference from Lynn to Sale, maybe that 900 goes a little ways if you need some bats, but yeah, so that's pitching. I mean, only 8 games, not a great slate for pitching, no doubt. That's where the ownership's going to be as well. We'll get into stacks. As Holden said in chat, hit the like for title. I appreciate that, Holden. We'll get you the plays of the day regardless. You're tuning in very early on this Thursday for the slate. We appreciate if you hit the like. When you do hit the like, hit that big red subscribe button as well. All I see is people talking about Kevin now. We got our first withdrawal in the Masters, so hopefully you didn't have him. If you did, we'll play maybe a little more in MLB and hopefully get it back on this slate. But we're going game by game.
Chase your losses. That's our advice on the show.
Yeah. Boston, chase your DeRozan loss, chase your golf loss. Let's go. Let's win some money in MLB. Boston Red Sox, Detroit Tigers. We got 8 total, 50 miles an hour. Chris Sale, Spencer Turnbull on the mound. JT, I'll start with you just because you pretty much hinted at it. Sale's going to be one of the highest owned pitchers. Detroit's going to be one of the least owned stacks. 4-game slates, a lot of game theory comes in. Everyone's going to Coors Field. Man, it doesn't take much to get overweight on these Tigers. Who are some of your favorites? Any Boston for you?
Yeah, I'm playing 50 lineups. It's going to be all. So there were some people asking in Discord about what do you do on a short slate? Do you go over with your stacks? I'm going to be doing all 5 threes just because I know where the chalk is going to be, and I'm actually going to be in line with it. So my strategy here is probably going to reserve Boston for mostly 3-man stacks. I will have a couple of 5s, and then where I go to Detroit, it's probably just going to be a full 5-man to take advantage of the leverage. No Spencer Turnbull for me. I will have probably a little bit less in the field. If the field is 50% on sale, I'm probably looking at 30 to 35% for myself. But I do think the probability of outcomes here skews more towards him getting to 27, 28, 8 or 9 strikeouts with a win than it does the other way around. But I do think that there is a probability where he hits that lower end, which is why I'm going to have some Detroit. But I would say of my pool, this is probably going to be this game on either side. 5% on the Tigers, maybe 12 or 13 on the Red Sox.
Like it. Going to you, DC. You going to get some Tiger stacks against a chalky Chris Sale? Can you get any Boston? Break down this one.
Yeah, I mean, just thinking about the slate a little bit more as we go through the show, like everybody is going to play 2 of Sale, Gausman, and Lynn in stack Coors Field, right? Yep. I mean, I get it, that's obvious, but it's just anytime you can kind of identify clearly the best path in terms of, the projections or the optimal or trying to put up the most points. There's just no question about it that's going to be by far the most popular build. We're trying to beat 10,000 teams still in these big tournaments. 8,000 of those 10,000 are going to do that exact build, something like that. So I do think it's a good slate to get a little bit different. We know who the popular pitchers are going to be, and I personally think Chris Sale is more likely to blow up than Lynn or Gausman. Just more unknowns with him. We just haven't seen him pitch in so long outside of the one game where, he ultimately did put up negative fantasy points. So, well, yeah, I think on a bigger slate where Chris Sale would be not very popular, I think I would actually potentially end up playing him, right? If this was an 11-game slate and Sale was going to be 7 or 8% ownership or something. But on this slate where he's going to be 50% owned, yeah, I think that Tiger stack looks good to me. It's just sometimes on these short MLB slates, you just got to take, a low probability outcome, but one that you think is more likely to happen than the field does. And that's, for me, I think this Tiger stack doing some work. So I will probably end up going there on a decent portion of my teams. I'm with JT. I'm not really on Turnbull here. I will have some Sale as well, but I think that Tiger stack, just in terms of trying to get, a top 1% of 1% outcome, does make some sense today.
Yeah, it feels like Sale's just so boomer bust. Could he go out there and get you 28 DK points? Yeah, sure. And then you have some that way. But could he blow up? And when he does blow up, 50% gone. No one has the Tigers. A game theory slate on this 4-gamer makes a lot of sense going to the Tigers.
And if it doesn't work, you turn on the Masters and chill out. It's all good.
Yeah, then you got NBA later to tilt.
Hopefully DeMar DeRozan's on the slate tonight. We can run that back. But you got to look at Sale this way too, right? It's a guy that hasn't pitched really in a year and a half for the most part. He's coming off a terrible performance. He's going to be 51% owned. That's the thing that strikes me as just odd. I know it's a 4-game slate. And like I said, I'm going to have Sale probably about 30%. But I do think, to DC's point, if you're playing more than 10 lineups and you're not at least throwing 1 or 2 Tiger stacks in there, you're playing this game the wrong way.
Yeah, 50 lineups, JT. You're going to cover every combination this morning. That's nice. You got the winners coming.
No, because there's a team that I'm probably not going to have any of. So 1 or 2 of them probably not going to have any of. So we're gonna condense, but we'll see.
All right, DC, we're going to keep it moving this next game because I already know what JT likes on this side. We got San Francisco Giants, Chicago White Sox, Alex Wood, Lance Lynn on the mound. Winds blowing out about 15 miles an hour, 48 in Chicago. Can you make a case? I mean, it sounds like you like the Tigers. If you had to pick on Gausman, Lynn, Sale, that you're picking on Sale. So I assume no Giants. Tell me if I'm wrong. And talk about these White Sox. JT hinted that he likes them a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, on this slate, I don't think stacking any team is crazy. I think you can make a case just anything can happen on a 4-game slate. Of course, the Giants could be the highest scoring team with 6 runs. Anything can happen in 4 games of baseball. I personally like them maybe the least. We just don't see Lance Lynn get blown up very often, right? Like the fastball heavy approach, just kind of pounds the zone. Pretty rare to see him really get nuked. So, yeah, I'm lower on the Giants maybe than any other team. I definitely like the White Sox side of this, though. Alex Wood away from San Francisco. Another pitcher who is capable of throwing good games. He's not a bad pitcher by any means, but I do like this matchup a little bit for the White Sox, who have, I think, 9 right-handed batters in the lineup. 8 right-handed batters. They got Andrew Benintendi in there as well. But, yeah, I don't trust Alex Wood. Like you said, wind blowing out left center field. Pretty good hitting park in general, even though it is a little bit cooler. And, yeah, that top 4 or 5, Anderson, Robert, Andrew Vaughn, looks pretty tasty to me for the White Sox.
JT, talk about these White Sox. Any Giants?
Yeah, running back to the White Sox here. I mean, Alex Wood, a bullpen that's, probably going to be league average here. The new rules are going to frustrate guys like Gabe Kapler more than anything else because he can't put all his fielders in one spot. He could still pinch hit every, 4 innings or so. But when you look at this White Sox lineup I talked about, they've been better against left-handed pitching. Yesterday, the wind was a little bit more of a swirl than it is today, straight out to left field. So I'm going to be overweight on the White Sox here. And I think, Anderson, I don't think gets ejected today. So, but him, Robert, Vaughn, even these guys in the middle that I don't think are going to get a lot of attention. Jake Berger and Hanser Alberto. Hanser Alberto, lefty masher from the Dodgers, a couple of other teams. So he's straight 2K. Even if you were just going to do a 3-man, maybe do a 2-3-5 here to stack up with either the Rocks or the Nats makes a ton of sense to me. I'm going to have a lot of White Sox today. I think they put up another big number.
I like he was Hanser Alberto. He was Oriole as well, right?
That's right. That's where I think that was where he played before the Dodgers. Been on a couple of teams. All he does is hit lefties. He doesn't do it all that well all the time, but he can get a hold of one. And for 2K, he came in and actually I think had a couple of base hits for Anderson after he got ejected because I was watching that game because I had a lot of exposure to the White Sox yesterday. So
I like it. 2K. Can't go wrong with that in the 5-hole. Keep it rolling. Only 2 games left on the slate. Saving Coors Field for last. We got the Toronto Blue Jays, Kansas City Royals. AP's, if you look at his core, I assume the Royals. AP had a big day yesterday. So make sure to check his core in the Discord. Kevin Gausman, Jordan Lyles, 50 miles an hour. Wind doesn't look to be too much of a factor. JT, I'll go back to you in this one. Royals, can you make the case? I mean, the case can always be made. Gausman's going to be the most popular pitcher on the slate. Are you going to do it yourself, though, and talk about the Blue Jays against the Lyles?
Yeah, I mean, for leverage purposes, when you look at 60% on Gausman, I mean, the chances are that he has a fine showing today. But the Blue Jays bullpen has been, pretty bad over the course of the first week. So probably just 2 lineups just in case the unthinkable happens here for Kansas City. Nothing more than that. Probably not many 3-mans of them either. I like the Blue Jays a little bit here, but not as much as what they're showing in terms of popularity. They've got a 4.9 run total, but I think that's a little high for the spot here. So I will be heavier on the White Sox than I will be on the Jays, but I will have some.
And AP said no Royals, so you don't even have to be a premium member. AP lets you know right there.
Never believe him when he says no Royals, because it'll like dip in a Discord 10 minutes before lock and say, man, I've been looking at the numbers, and I think I'm just going to play a couple of Royals lineups. I guarantee.
Well, you got to be a premium member. Maybe he will change his mind.
You'll find out.
I did say we'll get you the plays of the day regardless. I'm a man of my word, but I will say 270 watching, only 70 likes. I guess I shouldn't have said that before. That's hurtful. Don't want to get yelled at by the boss. Let's get at least 120. That's a very fair number. We'll get you the plays of the day, though. DC, what do you got in this game?
Yeah, we don't want to finish under, in the double-digit likes. That's
hurtful.
That's unacceptable. We got to get to triple digits.
We won't do these shows anymore. I mean, it's very simple. If you don't get you should get to 200 with 270 watching. It's the middle of the fucking day. I mean, hit the like button. But, I mean, if you don't, these daytime shows for these daytime slates, especially when 3 games are canceled, there was a lot of discussion this morning. Should we do the show? Should we not? Do we need to? And we decided to come in and honor our commitment to the subscribers. And now you're not doing your part. So let's go. Hit that goddamn like button.
Couldn't have said it better myself. On to this game. I mean, this part, Kansas City, like we've seen really warm weather there over the first part of this season, and still like not very many home runs in Kansas City. It's just a tough park to go yard in. Kevin Gausman, that's his biggest weakness by far. I actually think there's going to be some pretty good stacking opportunities or at least one-offs against Gausman, who does give up a lot of fly balls when he gets back in Toronto where they move the fences in. I think he's going to be kind of sneaky to try to pick off home runs against, but not on this slate, not in this park against this lineup. They really haven't done much. Even their good hitters, Melendez, Sal Perez, Pasquantino, just haven't done much so far to start this year. So I do expect Gausman to pitch well. Obviously, 4-game slate. He's going to be, I assume he'll be the most popular pitcher on this slate. I personally think he should be. I expect him, to have a good game. If you're playing a bunch of lineups, if you're playing JT, playing 50 lineups, you're going to have a royal stack or two. I think you should on this particular slate, but I'm not particularly enthused by them. I do think my 2 favorite bats there, the 2 lefties, Melendez and Pasquantino, would be the 2 guys I'd most likely use against Gausman. And then, the Blue Jays, I'm with JT. I like the White Sox over the Blue Jays straight up. The Blue Jays haven't looked super great to start this year, despite some pretty favorable matchups and all that. So, of course you can go to this team, but I do prefer the White Sox despite the lower team total. And, you can argue the tougher matchup against Alex Wood. I just, don't necessarily see a huge day coming here for the Blue Jays. Obviously, all their guys, Bichette, Guerrero, Varsho, Chapman, I mean, all these guys are certainly in play, but I do see a modest performance offensively for them today.
Can the Royal, like Bobby Witt, he gets a single, he walks. Can you run on Gausman pretty good?
Not really. I did look that up, but he's pretty stingy on the stolen bases. I mean, we don't know for sure, right? With the new rules, I think there'll be some pitchers who you couldn't steal on before, and now you can. But at least historically, he's pretty tough to run on.
Anyone on this slate before we get to the last game that you look like you can run on pretty good?
Not a ton for stolen bases. I think even Josiah Gray's pretty tough to run on. So it looks like more of a power slate than a speed slate.
Cool. Yeah, I mean that's stolen bases. I mean they've always mattered. This year especially though, I'm weighting them a lot more than this year. It means a lot. So I wanted to ask that question. Good stuff.
Keep an eye on Gleyber Torres. He's been running like wild in the opening week of the season. I think another 2 or 3 stolen bases yesterday. So there are some guys who weren't before that now. I mean, they're just taking off.
I mean, we talked about it on those kind of underdog preview shows we went to, where there's just going to be some hitters we can't necessarily identify who they're going to be. Like Gleyber Torres was not high on my list of players that were going to start taking off, but you just don't know, right? Like some players are going to be able to figure out these new rules and take advantage of it. He certainly seems like an early guy that's doing so.
I haven't seen the numbers, but has Boston been running more? I know Cora was talking about preseason that he was going to try and run guys more.
I don't think they've been running a ton. No. Like the Orioles ran wild on them, so maybe they'll wake up a little bit. But I haven't seen it from them too much.
Yeah, Mateo's running anytime he gets on. We'll go to the last game on the slate though. Coors Field. All the action or all the ownership is in this one. Nats, Rockies, 10.5 total. Josiah Gray, Kyle Freeland on the mound, 50 degrees like DC was saying. I got to start with DC because Kyle Freeland. You and Big T always go back and forth. Freeland just always owns you. DC or Big T says, are we stacking the Nats? You going back? You stacking against Josiah Gray? What are we doing in this game?
Yeah, I wish I knew what Big T was doing here. I'd tail him. He's the Kyle Freeland whisperer.
Well, he's not stacking against them. He probably might be playing them, actually.
Yeah, he probably is. I don't know. I'm like afraid to stack against him. I don't want to get shamed on Twitter for Kyle Freeland owning my soul apparently for the last 5 years with this 5.2 ERA. Apparently, I don't know where all those runs come from, but
in games that you play him, he's got a .79 ERA.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
Stack against him.
Yeah, I'll take some Nationals. I'll take another one out with these Nationals bats. Bad team, but yeah, I'm not scared of Cy Freeland apparently. So Meneses, my favorite guy there. I like Keeper Ruiz. I think he's the top catcher. I mean, it's hard to be in love with the Nationals lineup, but it is Coors Field. It is still Kyle Freeland, and I'll lean offenses in this game for sure.
I like it. JT, you stacking against Cy Freeland. What are you doing on the Rocky side?
Yeah. So the Nationals are bad, but they are slightly better against lefties. This is a third lefty in a row. You saw them. They didn't light up Josh Fleming, but they did go for, I think it was 6 or 7 runs. Fleming's obviously not a very good pitcher. But even yesterday against McClanahan, they put the ball in play. They got on base. They put some runs on the board, kept his score down.
They looked decent against him, I thought.
What's that?
I thought they looked pretty decent against him overall.
Yeah, against lefties, they're a better hitting team. Does not mean that they're a great hitting team, but then you get Freeland, and again, rule changes plus the Rockies bullpen. They've just looked terrible. Same old Rockies bullpen, and I do like a bunch of these guys. Lane Thomas, he should be leading off. Lane Thomas very capable of depositing a couple in the seats. So yeah, I like the Nats a good bit here, and then you get to the Rockies side. And Josiah Gray, we saw once again, I mean, he just gives up a ton of fly balls. This is not the place that you want to give up a ton of fly balls. So even though the Rockies came out of the gate a little bit stronger than we expected, showing some signs of life there in San Diego and Los Angeles. So I think this makes for a good game stack, but I also think that the way most of my lineups are going to be constructed here is to try and take advantage of a little bit of leverage and pair them with either the White Sox, predominantly Tigers, or the Red Sox, one of either the Nats or the Rockies. I think that's the way to the top here. And then there are people asking about Kyle Freeland and playing him, and 7,300 for Kyle Freeland against a team that's not as much of a strikeout team against lefties in that park where, look, this is the first time for all of them playing at altitude with these new rules. Are they going to tire out more quickly? Is it going to be a little bit more difficult to get that good location in Coors? Because if they miss and it's a fly ball, that thing's going out. So I'm going to definitely take a wait and see approach on Kyle Freeland.
Yeah, like that. So if you had to pick one team, Nats, Rockies, if you only could play one, DC, and then I'll go to JT. Then we'll get the plays of the day.
I'm on the Rockies side of it.
Rockies.
Don't want to go against the boss man. So give me the Rockies against Kyle Freeland. Against Josiah Gray, rather. Yeah, we saw against the Braves. I mean, this guy just gives up so many home runs, so many fly balls. Obviously, that's kind of a recipe for disaster in general in Coors Field. And the Rockies, they looked okay on the road for these few games. They put up some runs against the Padres. Home opener today. Yeah, I think they'll do some damage here against Josiah Gray.
JT, answer that question. Then there was one other question I think is interesting. Smaller slates, sometimes you get the question, would you guys get different by using a hitter against your pitcher today? So Rockies or Nats, if you had to pick one, then answer that, and then plays of the day.
Yeah, I mean, I'd probably lean on the side of the Rockies. They're both going to be about the same own. And the interesting thing, I think these ownership projections are wrong for a stack, because I think when most people sit down and look at this slate, they're going to get to this game and be like, hey, this is just a spot, right? Yeah. So I think both will be owned more than 24, 25% as a stack. But I'll probably have a little more Rockies just because the Nats bullpen going into altitude, it's been a bad bullpen for a while. It's been a bad bullpen over the first week of the season. So a little bit more on the Rockies. And then, I'm not using a Royal if I'm playing Gausman. Maybe you could take a shot on one of these lefties in the San Francisco lineup, although I hate playing these guys And then as far as taking a player against Sale, I guess you could, but if I'm doing 5 threes, I'm not going to stack 3 guys against my pitcher. So my answer on this slate is you can. I am just not going to do it because of the way I'm making my rosters.
I like it. We're going to get you the plays of the day. If you haven't hit the 300 watch and 130 likes, we appreciate it. If you do, who should I go first? I need this. I'll go to the Mom's Basement play of the day, DC. Mom's Basement play of the day to start. Who do you got? I need a little more time. That's why I went to you first.
Shout out to our man, G Risen. I'm going to the Tigers. I'm going to hope Chris Sale doesn't have it. Maybe he's cutting up his jersey after the game, something like that. Spencer Torkelson hitting cleanup for the Tigers has looked pretty good to start the year. Former #1 overall pick, had a horrible year last year, but I think he might be in for a better season in his sophomore campaign. He's 2,100, so you can kind of fit him in with whatever you want to. Yeah, Spencer Torkelson takes Chris Sale deep, and he's the Mom's Basement play of the day.
I love it. I'll go to myself with the SO play of the day. Go to the White Sox, going to tail JT. Going to the 4-hole, Jake Berger, first base, third base eligible, right in the heart of the order. Like these White Sox are going to be low owned. That's a stack that JT talked me in. I didn't want to go Coors. I'll be eating chalk at pitcher. So Jake Berger, the SO play of the day. JT, going to you. The Eiffel Tower play of the day. Who do you got?
I got nervous. I thought you were going to take my guy. And
I debated it, and then I didn't for that reason too.
and then, all right, so you know who I'm going with. But I was
4 or 5, little mini
like,
stack.
I was like, uh-oh. Now it's got to be Andrew Vaughn, man. Andrew Vaughn, full time at first base, getting a lot more at bats this season. He's been good against left-handed pitchers, and I don't think Alex Wood is going to keep him in the yard today. Andrew Vaughn is the Eiffel Tower play of the day.
Well, I actually thought you were going to go Hanser Alberto, which I was debating at min price 2K, but instead of going,
I like him too. But Andrew Vaughn, I feel Andrew Vaughn
feel a little better about
30-point upside. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's the reason I went Berger over Alberto too. I don't know if he's got that upside, but instead of the 4-5 mini stack, we get the 3-4 mini stack. And shout out to G Risen, Torkelson. Peel's doing him. He has all his rookie cards and all that. Hopefully goes up in value today after he does something against Sale. Fun show, guys. We appreciate all of you hanging out with us. Again, only 4 games will be in the Discord. Core plays, playbook, cash chart, all of that will be up as always. NBA is later tonight as well. Masters going on. MMA pay-per-view this week. NASCAR, I think, too. So much going on. Head to Run Pure Sports. Use the promo code JT15. Gets you 15% off. Like button on the way out. Subscribe on the way out. We appreciate it, though. We'll see you guys tomorrow. For JT, DC, Untitled Town. Good luck, everybody. JT's got to click out.